Today on WTF, we're making plant-based meatballs with a mushroom stroganoff sauce. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we help you transform food in your kitchen. I'm Janie.
And I'm Hannah.
And today on WTF, we are showing you a new recipe for a plant-based Swedish meatball / beef stroganoff recipe that we made that is absolutely delicious. So we hope that you're excited about this as we are. Remember to subscribe and also stick around for our weekly giveaway to win today's ingredients. I'm really excited about this recipe because we've been working with plant-based ground beef for quite a while, but this is kind of a new take on it. We're using different spices, and I'm going to have Hannah explain how to make the recipe, but I think at certain points I'm going to jump in and just talk a little bit about understanding the difference in these types of recipes between a functional ingredient, which you really need, versus what's a spice and seasoning and what is optional and what you can swap out, because this comes up a lot in discussions with people, so we want to deepen that understanding a little bit more today. All right, Hannah, I know you've been doing this recipe for a while. Can you talk about what are the first steps towards making the recipe?
Yeah, so as Janie said, this was our plant-based ground beef. It's just been tweaked a little bit to really go with the Swedish meatballs. Seasonings. This is an exciting recipe for me because I actually am Swedish, so nice. My Nana would be proud. And the first ingredient we're going to be starting with is our fava bean protein.
You should make this for your family next time you go home and see what they think about it.
See if they notice. I won't tell them it's plant-based.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really just going ahead and adding all of our dry ingredients. So as I said, the plant-based protein, fava bean protein, our textured vegetable protein. And you're going to want to use this over our textured wheat protein because of the size of the protein itself. It's going to give you that ground beef shape you're looking for.
Yeah. When we're talking about functional ingredients, the fava bean protein is very important. You can't skip that. You might be able to switch it out for another type of plant-based protein powder. So you can do that, but we haven't really found any that we really like. I think I have one that we're testing soon, but in any case. And then the TVP, like Hannah said, is very important. We were just talking off camera that I have a customer right now who she said, she's doing the recipe, but she's using another type of TVP. She lived in another country, it didn't make sense to ship it there, but it's just not coming together. The meat is falling apart. And the reason for that is that the particle size of her TVP, which I could see from the pictures, were significantly longer. They were almost like strands. And when you do that, there isn't enough space for the burger binder and the marbling fat to get in there, or really the burger binder to get in there and really hold on to every single piece. So we recommend, if you kind of see, our particle size, these are very small particle size TVP, and that's what you want to use.
Yeah.
All right.
So the next few ingredients, these are just for flavor. So we have our yeast flakes, gonna give that nice richness. We have beet powder and also cocoa powder, and this is going to give us the color that we're looking for. And so for seasonings here, we have garlic powder, onion powder, nutmeg, and allspice. And lastly, we have some brown sugar. And we're going to go ahead and stir these all up. And as these are stirring, we're just going to go ahead and hydrate everything. I have a cup of water here. You don't always need to use the whole cup of water, but you're going to want the mixture to be fully hydrated.
Okay, and what does fully hydrated look like, for people who haven't done it before?
Yeah, so as you can see, we still have some dry ingredients on the outside. It's going to be fully hydrated when you see that it's turned this darker color. So about now is the point where we can see that it's been fully hydrated. All the ingredients are incorporated together, and it's also turned this really nice color. Okay, so that was about half a cup of water. Okay, so our next step, we are going to be adding in our burger binder as well as our marbling fat. We will link those videos down below as well if you need a little refresher on how to make those. So here we have our burger prehydrated burger binder. We have 75 grams of this. And we are just going to add that in. And our last ingredient for our ground beef is going to be our marbling fat.
And I always like to add in the reminder here that you want to keep your marbling fat relatively cold. So you don't want this at room temperature because you might risk that it will melt before you have a chance to incorporate it, because you want to see, as Hannah does, all these little white specks throughout your meat mixture.
Yep, so we don't want to over blend this. Like Janie said, you're still going to want to see those flecks. And as we can see, it comes together. It really does resemble ground beef. And so this is just the first step. This is just our ground plant-based meat. And then we're going to go ahead and add a few more ingredients to really make it into a meatball.
Okay.
Okay. So for the meatball, we are going to be adding bread, and this is pretty traditional for Swedish meatballs. You add white bread that has been soaked in milk. Of course, this is a plant-based recipe, so we are using our oat milk, which we will also link down below. It's very easy to make. So you're going to want to coat the bread, completely soak it in the oat milk. Okay. Just all right. And again, we're just going to put this on stir. And you're going to add in chunks of your bread, and this is going to act as a binder. Okay, so we have our bread added in, and again, we're going to add a few more seasonings just to really bring the flavor up. We have a bit more onion powder, garlic powder, and allspice.
And these are the traditional Swedish meatball seasonings.
Yes, they are. And as well, we have some salt and ground black pepper. And our last ingredient, we have aquafaba, which we're using as our egg replacer today. All right. And now our meatball mixture is fully combined. Pretty simple. And our next step is going to be forming the meatballs and putting them in the oven.
Okay, we'll be right back. All right, and we're back, and we're about to make our Stroganoff sauce. But first, of course, I wanted to talk about this week's giveaway, which will be the ingredients that you see here in order to make the meatballs, our ground beef, our various other meatloaf, and other plant-based dishes. So this is a great giveaway, and in order to enter to win, leave behind in the comments what you would like to see us make next that involve the ground meat. So it'll be really fun. We're really enjoying kind of expanding the boundaries of what we're making with these dishes. So make sure you leave your comment below and enter to win. All right, so what kind of sauce are we making today for our Swedish meatballs?
Okay. Yeah, we are going to be making a plant-based gravy here. So we can just hop on into it and go through the ingredients. It's pretty simple. So we are going to start off with some vegan butter, and you're just going to want to melt that in the pan. All right.
And as always, you can get today's recipes in the links in the description below, because I know we didn't show, rolling the meatball and baking it off, but of course you can get the temperature and time all in that recipe in the links.
Yep. All right, so our next step is just going to be making a simple roux. So we have our equal parts butter and flour, just 4 tablespoons of each. This is the very first thing I learned how to do in culinary school.
Yeah.
So
I think it took me a long time before I understood that I had to cook the flour. I was like, I just mix it together, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, this doesn't taste right.
yeah.
So I started cooking with basically no instructions. It was just like, here's a recipe book, and you kind of just try to follow it the best you can. Because this was before YouTube, and yeah, no one truly explained how to do the recipe. It was just like, follow these steps, right?
Good luck.
Yeah. And then you'd wonder why it doesn't come out right.
Looking for a nice golden color. There are actually 3 different types of roux depending on the color, but for today we're just going to go with the light golden color.
Okay.
Okay, and then our next step, we are going to be adding coconut milk to this, so just 1 can of coconut milk.
And we decided today that we were going to do more of a stroganoff sauce compared to a traditional gravy that goes with the Swedish meatballs, because we were looking for something a little heartier. But of course, we like the fact that all these recipes are just basis for what you like. So, do whatever you would like with the recipe and adjust as for your tastes.
Exactly. All right, so now that we have all of that combined, we can go in and add a few flavorings. So we have soy sauce. And for spices, we have onion powder, garlic powder, porcini powder, and also some black pepper.
Sounds good.
The porcini powder is really great. It really adds this depth to the sauce. I would highly recommend it.
Oh, you can really smell that like porcini flavor. It just like wafted right
It
up.
hits you in the face when it goes in, but it smells great. Yeah. And you can see this also really gave the sauce a nice dark color of the gravy that we're looking for. So you see it's pretty thick right now. So we have some vegetable stock on the side. And just use this to thin out your sauce to your liking.
Smells great already.
And then finally, we are just going to go ahead and add a few mushrooms in here just to simmer, add a little bit more chew. We just want to give this like a few minutes, and then we'll be all ready to plate up.
Cool. All right, and here we have some vegan noodles, which you can buy at the grocery store, and that's kind of what we're using today. But again, I think I would also like to have this on rice too. I think that would be delicious.
Yeah, of course.
So whatever you like.
Okay, so we'll give this a little bit of time, and we will be right back.
Cool.
So for our next step, after our sauce has been simmering and it is looking and smelling delicious, we are going to go ahead and add in our noodles. All right. And carefully stir these.
I like how the noodles are soaking up all the gravy.
Perfect. All right. So we can go ahead and cut that heat. We are going to go ahead and plate up some noodles. So of course you can put the meatballs in this, get the meatballs all warm in the gravy, but ours just came out of the oven and they are ready to go. It's a good portion. And then we are going to go ahead. We have our meatballs made here, just fresh off of the pan. I'm going to go ahead, plate these up. There you are.
This looks fantastic.
Do have just a little bit of greenery.
All right, I was already getting ready to go.
There you are.
Yeah, this looks absolutely beautiful. And normally I would just kind of mix the whole thing up, but for the sake of presentation, I'm not going to do that, but I will cut into the meatball. All right. You can see how beautiful this meatball is. It's totally holding together perfectly. I'm gonna just dip it in some sauce, get that going, get a little bit of noodle. All right, get it all in one bite. It is totally delicious. It really doesn't matter whether you're vegan or not. The meatballs have such great flavor. They have a really fantastic texture. It's kind of like crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside as you want it to be. And the noodles, of course, have that creaminess. It's very rich, but not in a bad way because it's still light. And it has that really great mushroom flavor, a lot of umami to this dish. I think you would absolutely enjoy it. If you do make the meatballs, you can always, freeze what you don't use, save it for another night. but the sauce is easy to put together. I think it only took like maybe 10 minutes total.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great way to make a delicious, healthy meal. So hopefully you enjoyed this recipe. Find the links in the description below. Remember to comment. And until next week, from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie.
And I'm Hannah.